Introduce the protagonist, you, and your friendship with your friend, Alex. Show that you're staying over at Alex's house because of some reason, family trip, sudden rainstorm or other believable scenario. Subtle tension, Alex is unusually quiet, worried, or distracted. First hint of something unusual in Alex's house, quiet hallway, strange noises. 11 p.m., the knock at the door. Heartbeat moment. Alex is out of the room, you hesitate. Alex's mom speaks, mysterious, almost cryptic words. Your initial reaction, confusion, curiosity, a little fear. You replay her words in your mind, can't sleep. Flashbacks, moments with Alex that suddenly make sense in a new light. Tension grows, shadows, noises, messages on your phone. The feeling that something is not right, but you can't leave. Confrontation, you decide to investigate what she meant. Discover a secret Alex or his family has been hiding, emotional secret, danger, or urgent family issue. Alex's mom explains carefully. Your perception changes. Emotional weight, empathy, fear, relief, understanding. Calm after the storm, night turns to morning, the tension resolves. Reflection on human relationships, trust, and intuition. Leave some lingering suspense or thought-provoking questions for the reader. I never expected to be here, on a stormy Friday night, staring out at the rain streaking down the window of Alex's house. The night had started normally enough, a casual hangout at his place after school, nothing unusual. But then the skies had opened, the streets became rivers, and my ride home vanished into the wet darkness. Alex looked concerned. You can stay here tonight, he said, shrugging, though his eyes betrayed something else, something unspoken. My mom won't mind. I nodded, grateful, but unease tugged at the back of my mind. There was something about staying in someone else's house that made every sound feel magnified, the creak of the floorboards, the hum of the fridge, even the soft patter of rain. Alex's mom, Mrs. Henderson, had been quietly bustling in the kitchen, her movements precise and calm. She didn't acknowledge me much, just gave a polite nod when I introduced myself earlier. Her presence was different. Watchful, almost unnervingly quiet. I tried to distract myself with the TV, but nothing held my attention. Every time I thought about leaving for home, I remembered the flooded streets outside. I was trapped here until morning. By 10:30, Alex had gone to his room, leaving me alone in the living room. The storm outside was relentless, tapping against the windows like impatient fingers. I wrapped a blanket around myself, trying to feel safe, though the house didn't feel normal. The hallway leading to Alex's room looked darker than it should have, the shadows stretching oddly under the dim hallway light. I tried to shake it off, blaming my imagination. But then I heard a faint creak. I froze. The sound came from the kitchen. Mrs. Henderson's silhouette had been there earlier. Now, it seemed as if she, or something, was moving quietly, deliberately. I told myself I was overthinking. Maybe she was just tidying up. Or maybe the house had a life of its own. And then it happened. Knock. 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 I jumped, the blanket slipping off my shoulders. My heart raced. I glanced at the clock, 11 p.m. The sound came from the bedroom door. Not Alex's room, the guest room. My room. I hesitated, then slowly walked to the door. Who's there? I called, trying to keep my voice steady. It's me, came a calm, soft voice. Mrs. Henderson. I froze. What could she possibly want at this hour? She stepped in, closing the door behind her. Her eyes were calm but carried a weight I didn't understand. She said something that made my stomach twist. I need to tell you something, but you can't leave your room until you understand it. Her words were gentle but firm, strange in a way that made every instinct in me scream both curiosity and fear. I nodded slowly, unsure whether to obey or bolt. And that's when she spoke again, words that I would replay in my head all night. Some things you see tonight will change the way you see Alex forever. I sat on the edge of the bed, heart pounding, staring at her. She didn't move closer, didn't raise her voice. Yet the tension in the room felt like a physical weight pressing down on me. What do you mean?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. She looked at me, her gaze steady, almost piercing. "There are things about this family, things Alex doesn't talk about. And tonight, you're going to understand them. But you must promise. You cannot tell anyone else." I nodded, swallowing hard. My mind raced. What could be so serious that it required secrecy in the middle of the night? She left the room after that, closing the door softly, leaving me alone with my thoughts. And yet, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, her words echoed in my head, "Some things you see tonight will change the way you see Alex forever." I tried to read, tried to watch TV, tried to distract myself, but the tension in the house was palpable. Every shadow seemed to move, every floorboard creak sounded like a warning. The storm outside mirrored the storm inside my mind. I thought about Alex, my friend, the guy I thought I knew. Did he really know what was happening in his own house? Was he hiding something? Hours passed. The clock struck 1 a.m. The house was silent now, except for the rain. My fear turned into curiosity. I needed to know. And that's when I noticed something, a faint light under the door of the study. A place I'd never been allowed before. This sets up the suspense and mystery, leaving the reader hooked for what Mrs. Henderson meant and what secret Alex's family is hiding. I tiptoed toward the study door, my bare feet cold against the wooden floor. The rain tapped a frantic rhythm against the windows, like the house itself was urging me forward. The light under the door flickered. Golden and warm, but it cast odd shadows that danced across the walls. I paused. My mind screamed, "Don't go. Wait until morning." But curiosity won. I slowly turned the doorknob. The study was empty. Papers were scattered across the desk, a faint smell of old books and dust lingering in the air. But on the desk lay an envelope, thick and heavy, addressed to me. No one else had been in this room tonight. How had it gotten there? I picked it up, feeling the weight of every letter pressed inside. On the envelope, in elegant handwriting, it said, "Read only after you've promised to keep this secret." My heart hammered. This wasn't just a simple family secret, it felt monumental. I sat down on the study floor, careful not to disturb anything else. My hands trembled as I tore open the envelope. Inside were several pages, written in Mrs. Henderson's precise handwriting. The first lines were cryptic. "Alex is not like other kids. He's hiding something, something that could hurt him, or someone he cares about. You've been chosen to see the truth tonight because only someone you trust can handle it." I blinked, trying to absorb the words. Chosen? Trust? What does this mean? The letter went on. "There is a history in this house, a past that Alex barely understands himself. Things happened here, things people tried to forget. Tonight, you will see a piece of that history. Be careful what you believe, and above all, protect him." My stomach churned. This wasn't just about a simple family secret. Whatever this was, it was dangerous. I heard a soft creak behind me. Spinning around, I saw a faint figure in the doorway, Mrs. Henderson, watching silently. Her expression was unreadable, a mix of caution and urgency. "Did you read it?" she asked softly. I nodded. I don't understand." "Why me?" She stepped inside and closed the door behind her. Because you care about Alex. You've been his friend for years. And tonight, he will need you more than ever. Need me? For what? I whispered. She looked toward the window, rain splashing against the glass. He's in danger, emotional danger. He doesn't know it yet, but the choices he makes tonight could change everything. You're the only one who can help guide him. I swallowed hard. Her calm demeanor couldn't hide the gravity of her words. I realized she wasn't exaggerating. Whatever this was, it was serious. Mrs. Henderson handed me a small, worn key. This opens a drawer in Alex's room. Inside, you'll find something he's been keeping from everyone. Only show him when he's ready. But remember, what you see tonight may surprise you. I held the key in my hand, feeling the cold metal burn against my palm. My mind raced. What could Alex possibly be hiding? Before I could ask more questions, she turned and walked out silently, leaving me alone with my thoughts and the sound of rain. I returned to Alex's room cautiously, trying not to wake him. The key glinted in my hand under the faint moonlight. Alex's room was quiet, dark, and smelled faintly of his cologne and laundry detergent. I knelt by his desk and located the drawer Mrs. Henderson had mentioned. My hands shook as I inserted the key. Click. I opened the drawer slowly. Inside, a small box, neatly wrapped. My fingers hovered over it, hesitant. Inside the box, I found a journal, a stack of photographs, and a small USB drive. The photographs were of Alex, but not just everyday photos. They were pictures of him alone at odd hours, sometimes looking upset, sometimes scared. My heart clenched. Something was wrong. I opened the journal. The first page read, "If you're reading this, it means someone is watching over me. Mom and Dad don't know, and I can't explain. Please, keep this safe." I realized the weight of what I was holding. Alex had been hiding something big, something he felt he couldn't share. I stayed in his room, flipping through the journal carefully. Late at night, the house seemed alive with tension. The shadows seemed to watch me, but I couldn't stop reading. Every word pulled me deeper into Alex's world, a world I had never seen before. By 2 a.m., I was exhausted but unable to sleep. The storm outside had not let up. I knew one thing for certain: the night was far from over. And soon, Alex would find out that I knew his secret. And when he did, everything would change. By 3 a.m., the house was eerily silent. Even the rain had slowed to a persistent drizzle, tapping lightly against the roof. I sat cross-legged on Alex's bed, the journal and photographs spread around me like pieces of a puzzle I couldn't yet solve. I had promised Mrs. Henderson I would protect Alex, but protecting him meant understanding what he was hiding first. My hands trembled as I flipped through the journal, each page revealing more of Alex's inner world than I ever imagined. He wasn't just your typical high school kid. The journal detailed a series of struggles, fights, and fears Alex had never shared, not with friends, not with his parents. I realized I was holding something fragile and dangerous, his truth. A creak in the hallway made me jump. "Who's there?" Alex's voice was groggy, confused, clearly woken from sleep. I froze, the journal clutched to my chest. He walked into the room, rubbing his eyes. "What are you doing?" he asked, noticing the papers scattered on the bed. I found this," I said quietly, holding out the journal. "It's your journal. I think your mom wanted me to see it." Alex's face changed. His eyes widened, a mix of fear and vulnerability flashing across them. You read it?" he whispered. "I had to understand," I said. "I promise I won't tell anyone. I want to help." He sank onto the bed beside me, burying his face in his hands. "I didn't mean for anyone to know." Not even you. I thought I could handle it alone, but I can't. I'm scared. Slowly, Alex began to open up. His words tumbled out in a rush, about pressures at school, a secret family issue he'd been protecting, and fears he couldn't voice. The journal detailed years of hidden pain, moments of isolation, and fears of losing control. You never knew, he said, tears brimming. I couldn't tell anyone. Not my parents, not my friends. I didn't want to be judged, or pitted. I reached over and placed a hand on his shoulder. Alex, you're not alone anymore. Whatever it is, we'll figure it out together. He looked at me, eyes glistening with relief and fear. Do you really mean that? I do, I said firmly. And that's why your mom brought me here tonight. She knew I could help. Alex pulled out a small USB from the box, the same one Mrs. Henderson had mentioned. This has everything. Proof, documents, videos, things about my family. Things I thought would ruin us if anyone ever knew. I hesitated. Should we look at it? He nodded, swallowing hard. Yes. You need to see it to understand why I've been distant. Why I've been hiding. We plugged the USB into his laptop. The screen illuminated our faces, showing images and documents I could barely comprehend. It wasn't dangerous in a criminal sense. But it revealed secrets about Alex's family, struggles with financial issues, hidden illnesses, and a past tragedy that had shaped him profoundly. I watched, speechless. My perception of Alex, my friend, changed. He had been carrying this weight alone for years. And tonight, he had finally allowed someone to see it. The storm outside mirrored the storm inside Alex. We sat together, processing what we had just discovered. I realized the night wasn't just about secrets, it was about trust. Alex had chosen to show me the truth, and in doing so, he had entrusted me with his most vulnerable self. I said quietly, whatever happens, I've got your back. You're not alone in this anymore. He nodded, a mixture of relief and exhaustion washing over him. Thank you. I didn't know I could trust anyone like this. Not even my mom fully knew how to help me. I understood then why Mrs. Henderson had intervened. She had seen the risk Alex was carrying, the danger of isolation, and she had chosen me as someone to help guide him through the night. The rain slowed, and a faint light of dawn began to filter through the curtains. The house, once shadowed and tense, now felt lighter. The night had been long, filled with fear, suspense, and revelation, but it had also forged a deeper bond between Alex and me. He closed the journal, looking at me with tired eyes. I can't believe I let all this out. It feels strange, but good. Sometimes, I said, the hardest part isn't hiding the truth, it's letting someone in to help carry it. He smiled faintly, the first genuine smile of the night. For the first time in a long while, I felt hope for him, for us, for the future. By the time the first rays of sunlight crept through the blinds, the storm had passed. The house smelled faintly of wet wood and fresh air. The oppressive tension of the night was gone, replaced by a quiet calm that felt almost fragile. Alex was still sitting on the bed, journal in hand, staring blankly at the floor. I could see exhaustion etched into his features, but also relief. Something had shifted. I never realized, he said softly, how heavy this all was until I let it out. I nodded. It's hard carrying everything alone. But now you know, you don't have to. He glanced at the journal, then the photographs, then at me. I owe you. Not just for listening, but for actually understanding. I smiled faintly. You don't owe me anything. You just needed someone who would be here. And that's what I did. Mrs. Henderson appeared in the doorway, carrying a tray with toast and coffee. She didn't say much, just placed it on the nightstand and gave me a small, knowing smile. "You did well," she said quietly, almost to herself. "Not everyone can handle what you just did." "Why me?" I asked, curiosity nudging me. "Why did you choose me to help him?" She leaned against the doorframe, her gaze thoughtful. "Because sometimes, a friend sees what a parent cannot. Alex needed someone who could walk beside him without judgment. Someone he trusts. That's why you were here tonight." Her words lingered in the room, warm yet heavy with meaning. I realized that the night had been more than just revelation, it had been a lesson about trust, guidance, and the quiet ways we help one another. Breakfast passed in quiet conversation. Alex and I spoke cautiously, testing the waters of this newfound honesty. He shared a little more about his fears and plans for the future, while I offered encouragement and a steady presence. The journal and USB were carefully placed in a drawer, safe for now. I knew that some secrets weren't meant to be shared with the world, they were meant to build strength, resilience, and understanding among those who matter. As I packed my things to leave, Alex walked me to the door. He hesitated, then spoke. "Thanks, for everything. For staying tonight, for listening, for being there. I don't think I could have made it through alone." I smiled. "You won't have to. Not anymore." Walking home, the streets glistening with rain, I thought about the night. A simple knock at 11 p.m. had turned into a journey of discovery, fear, and trust. I had learned that secrets aren't always meant to hide us. They're sometimes a bridge to understanding, if someone is willing to walk the path with us. I realized how fragile trust could be, and yet how powerful it was when nurtured. Alex had entrusted me with a piece of himself, and in doing so, our friendship had grown stronger than ever. And Mrs. Henderson's words echoed in my mind, "A friend sees what a parent cannot." The storm had passed, but its lessons remained. That night would stay with me forever. The fear, the tension, the secrets. All had shaped a bond between Alex and me that nothing could break. As I turned the corner and saw my own home, safe and quiet, I realized one truth: sometimes, the most profound moments of trust and understanding happen in the darkest hours. And sometimes, a single knock at 11 p.m. can change everything. The morning sunlight streamed through the living room windows, painting everything in soft gold. The storm was gone, leaving behind only the clean smell of rain and the quiet hum of a world waking up. Alex's mom was bustling in the kitchen again, but this time, her expression carried warmth rather than the cryptic weight of last night. She glanced at me as I gathered my things. "You did well," she said, her tone calm but firm. "Not everyone could have handled this. Alex needed someone steady, and you proved yourself." I nodded, still processing everything. "I just wanted to help." She smiled faintly. "Sometimes, that's exactly what matters." Alex walked me to the door. There was a quiet intensity in his gaze, a gratitude that words could barely capture. "I've never shared that with anyone before," he admitted, almost in a whisper. "Not even Mom really understood it all. But now, I feel like maybe I can breathe." "You can," I said. "And you won't have to carry it alone anymore." We stood there for a long moment, two friends bonded by a night of fear, truth, and trust. A night that began with a knock at 11 p.m. and ended with understanding that would last a lifetime. As I walked home, the streets reflecting the morning sun on wet asphalt, I couldn't shake one thought: secrets change people, but sharing them can transform lives. Mrs. Henderson had chosen me because she understood that sometimes the right guide isn't a parent, it's a friend who sees the unseen, who hears the unheard. And Alex, he had taught me something too. Courage isn't just about facing danger. It's about letting someone in when your world is darkest, even if it's terrifying. That night stayed with me in ways I didn't expect. I replayed every word Mrs. Henderson had said, every photograph, every page of Alex's journal. I realized that some truths are heavy, some secrets are terrifying, but with trust and compassion, even the heaviest burdens could be shared and lightened. I thought about the knock at 11 p.m., the sound that had seemed ordinary at first but carried extraordinary weight. Sometimes, life's pivotal moments come quietly, almost unnoticed, until you step into them fully awake. Weeks later, Alex and I still talked about that night, carefully, sometimes laughing, sometimes silently reflecting. His world hadn't disappeared, the struggles, fears, and secrets remained, but they felt smaller somehow, because he no longer faced them alone. I understood then that nights like these, stormy, tense, and full of fear, don't just test us. They teach us, they reveal who we truly are, and they forge bonds that endure long after the rain has passed. And as I finally looked up at the sky, clear and bright, I whispered quietly to myself. Some nights change everything. And this was one of them.